Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. Won't be joined by my co-host for this episode. I am off work for today. We had some home repairs going on, but the title of today's episode is Camping Out. And we're just going to kind of give a brief little episode here, just recapping what has happened over the past couple days, some developments from today at camp. Also, just giving some tidbits from reporters that were on the scene there as well. And I just really want to appreciate you guys for sticking around and sticking in. I'll have some questions for you guys, anybody watching, if you want to answer and what you think in the comments later on. We'd love to be able to hear from you there. The first biggest takeaway from the 2 days of camp, one, that Laramie Tunsil was obviously out there. Big dude, big MFer. And that he was moving very well. Looked like he was totally in shape and good to go. Obviously, he did not play today. He was given a vet rest day, which is probably smart for a gentleman that was not at the voluntary type of portions. You don't want to have him put himself in a bad situation, right? And there's no pads going on right now for the offensive linemen, so really it's just like a glorified workout session for those guys. So just taking it easy. You don't want your new valuable asset to possibly strain or get hurt or anything like that. So I was glad to see that Laramie Tunsil was out there. Marshawn Lattimore obviously was there at mandatory minicamp as well. And this is somebody that a lot of people have had a lot to say, myself included, would wish that he could have been there at voluntary workouts. But right now, he spoke to reporters after practice today, saying that he feels much better, that he was playing through injury last season, which I think we all can kind of coincide with that, right? And agree that that most likely was the case. But now he feels a lot better. He feels like he has more burst when he's running, which is great news because a lot of it is a mental type of thing, just feeling free and normal, right? There was a rep today where I believe it was Noah Brown ran an in and an out on him, on Marshawn, actually separated pretty well, but then Marshawn came up and was able to hit that ball away for a pass breakup, just hinting at to what Marshawn is capable of and just seeing him at his normal type of self, obviously. The bad news, Noah Brown did get injured today. Don't know how severe it is, but from what I've read from the Discord from like Andy Lockhart, who said from Ben Standig that Noah Brown like dove for a ball on the ground, caught it, landed, and then got up holding his ribs. He was helped to the sideline. He sat down, threw his helmet in anger, and then ended up getting carted to the locker room. I would imagine the carting to the locker room is all based on just a precaution, just to make sure, because we know the severity of the rib injury last season and how life-threatening it could possibly be. And so that's something we're just precautionary, just want to make sure that the young man is okay, don't want him to walk and then find out that it was a very bad idea to have him walk. The good news from today with Jeremy Reeves, he signed a 1-year extension with Washington, pushing him through 2026. Dan Quinn talked about him in his presser before practice today, just saying that this is one of the leaders of the football team, a bad MFer, somebody that kind of is the glue, you could say, for the entire team, where it's not just a collection of special teamers, offense guys, defense guys. Jeremy kind of helps blend that all in and being the leader that he is. And we are so happy for Jeremy Reeves. Obviously, his career didn't start out the way that is going to possibly end here, but he has worked his ass off, and he is really, really reaping the benefits of his hard work, and he deserved to be here and to be here longer. And I'm glad that they are noticing that. We just wish that the extension could have come in another area as well. Obviously, if you're going to give one extension out, let's give out two, man. Let's give one out to Terry as well. But hopefully Terry will be here soon. He's not here yet. I know that in our Discord, a lot of people were hypothetically saying that the extension could be announced like in the parameters of agreement between Terry and the team on Monday or Tuesday. Obviously, that has passed. Nothing has come to fruition yet, but hopefully that will be coming up here soon. Obviously, Coach Quinn in his presser today talked about this camp time being the coach's time. And I thought that the quote that he had in isolating the skill I thought was a very interesting thing to take up on, and isolating the skill, because what Dan Quinn likes to say a lot is the superpower, right? Find your superpower. And what they're trying to do, I would imagine, as coaches in this time, this being the coaches' time and setting the guys up, because you have to imagine there is a pretty good amount of free time between this mandatory minicamp and then the start of training camp. I think it's about a month or so long. And so this is the coach's time to get them ready for to hit the ground running when it comes to training camp. And so isolating that skill is finding that superpower, right? Isolating it, finding that thing that they do well. And that's why the coaches, I would imagine that Coach Quinn is saying this is the coach's time, because you have to be able to identify that skill and to be able to say, this is what they do really well. So that way when you get to training camp, you kind of put the chessboard, you can put your knights in your certain spots that they can be attack in, that they can work well in. And that's what I think Coach kind of meant by that, isolating the skill and being able to say, I know this is what he does really well at. Like, for example, you could say with Kane Medrano, either rushing the passer or possibly in coverage, right? Because Joe Witt talked about in his press conference a week or so ago that is he like Jeremy Chin or is he like Frankie Louvu, right? Well, this is where the isolating that skill verbiage comes into play, into saying, identify which one of those is the superpower, and let's maximize that superpower. Let's gear them in that direction. And so I thought that quote by Dan Quinn was absolutely great. He also talked about Brian Robinson looking healthy and really, really good, of course. We heard about, I actually did get some insight from somebody who was at not training camp, was at minicamp today, a good source of ours. Said the defense was much better today than it was yesterday. Kane Medrano had a forced fumble that led to a pick by Carlin Vigors, and Jaden was still sharp. Krosky Merritt had a nice run as well. With Jaden, it was 7-on-7s. You know he's going to do well. No rushers coming at his face. This is like with him doing VR training in the sense where he can make the speed faster of the defenders. He can make things harder on himself in that regard. This is not anything new for him. This is easy. This is like duck hunting for him, in shooting in a barrel. And so you know that Jaden's going to come out well. You see the leadership aspect. I know that yesterday Jaden actually had a touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel in the back of the end zone that Deebo jumped up for and caught in the back of the end zone. I know the defense was yelling that the play was over, which most likely was, because at this, you know how defenders are. They want to make sure you're not getting that touchdown. And in this sort of realm, you could say that play was over. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. But look, let the offense get their good grapes, man. I also wanted to pick up on what he said in regards to the newcomers standing out. Talking about Wise, Jonathan Jones standing out. And that was very important because Dietrich Wise is one of those guys that could be one of the under-the-radar players that we aren't really, as a fan base, aren't really looking at to say this is going to be a massive contributor. This is going to be an impact guy. Whereas with Wise, that's almost been like kind of what his career was in New England, where it's like not somebody that's going to get all the limelight because he's not raking up a crazy amount of sacks, but very productive against the run, does his job very well, a consummate professional. And I think that's what kind of Coach Quinn is standing out with Dietrich Wise. And so we got to look at Dietrich Wise and just remember it. You know, it's stupid to say to remember it because you're going to remember Wise on the football team. But just put that in the back of the cap, so to speak, and just be able to acknowledge that maybe this guy will be able to be pretty impactful this season. Obviously, Kane Medrano having that forced fumble, which is fantastic, because with Kane Medrano, one thing about him is when he's going out to the quarterback, he's quick, he's decisive, he's able to get away from blockers either by doing a little dip move, using his hand usage on running backs and pass pro. So that kind of speaks to what Kane Medrano can do, because the tackling is always something I've brought up, but maybe we're cooking with some gas at this point with Kane Medrano. Maybe Ken Norton is really starting to speak to that young man. And then hearing great things about Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, that's music to everyone's ears. And that's it's so funny because we like to talk about how offensive linemen don't get a lot of the spotlight, right? Like, it's not somebody that people get excited for. It's not a player that is really going to boost the excitement, so to speak. Like, you could say Laramie Tunsil did, of course, but it's just so funny and typical that we're all talking more about the 7th-round pick and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt more so than Josh Connerly. And I just think that it's just funny. As a former offensive lineman myself, I understand it. I get it. I mean, it's one of those positions that gets everyone excited. But it is funny to see that come around. And I'm happy for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt because they say he looks explosive. He looks fast. I know yesterday he had a big touchdown run that was in practice that was executed on his behalf, just showing the burst and the speed. They've shown some drills. Drills are drills. They're just showing it just to make sure that they're holding the ball high and tight away from the defender, switching the hand if you're going out, to making sure you're not getting the ball swatted out. All that nonsense, that's all it is. And so at this point, we should all be very excited about what we have as a football team. But I did want to bring something else up with Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos also making his mark, Jalen Lane as well, which is going to go into a fan question I'm going to answer here very soon. Obviously, we heard last week from Felix and others, Bram, that Jalen Lane is looking good. And actually, Bram didn't talk about Jalen. But that's one aspect that you want to look at and say, man, we want to get excited for it. You know, we want to be able to say, man, this cat is working. And so far, Jalen Lane has made all the right moves so far. Now, this question that was submitted in the Discord was from our guy, Deluxe. Thank you, Dux. His question is, who will battle for the depth at punt returner if Lane is the projected number 1? I think there's a handful of guys. It's hard to say because we talked about the parameters of what a punt returner is supposed to be, right, Arch? Like, we talked about how obviously the vision, it being for kick returner, is one, but also the ability to have that quick burst, that quick acceleration, to be able to get through some lanes in order for things to open up. Because typically on punt return, it's like you got to get to the first 2 layers, and once you get to that first 2 layers, it's down to speed. And a lot of the times, getting through those 2 layers is a combination of balls and vision, of being able to see where a slight hole is opening up. Because when things are happening so fast on the football field, it's not like you can really see anything. Like, it's hard to explain, but when everything is going so fast, all you see is flashes of color. And so I would imagine that you have to have the vision to be able to have that sense, that feel, and that confidence to say that flash of color here, that's my guy, knowing that you're the color jersey, the opposing jersey, just being able to find that slither of space to be able to get through. So, and if we're going down that route, I would imagine that the running back room is something that's going to be looked at. And I think Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, that could be an avenue for him. Like, let's just say Ja'Cory is not immediately getting reps week 1, right? Like, that's something that he could contribute in. Right? If something were to happen, if maybe Ja'Cory blows up at it, maybe he could be the starting punt returner. But obviously, everyone, their mother would say, we want him to stay healthy, right? And I agree with you. But just saying, being able to flip the field is very important. And that's why Jalen Lane is that solidified number 1. The other one I would add is possibly KJ Osborne. Obviously, we just picked him up. It's unfortunate what's going on with Noah Brown. I know Michael Gallup also pulled his hamstring today. And we can't be overly surprised by that. Like, took a year off from football. Playing professional football is very different. As much as we are talking about this being a situation that it's not real practice, no pads on, they're still working you. They're still getting you. They're getting in you hard to be able to make sure that you are getting a workout. You're being able to show off your skills, your speed, your assets. And so obviously that it comes up. It comes up on guys, and especially if you take a year off, like Michael Gallup, that's going to happen. So unfortunately for Gallup and Noah Brown, we're down 2 wide receivers at the moment. It's not a crazy situation, but it is a fantastic opportunity for guys like Jalen Lane, for Ja'Cory Brooks, for I forget his name. My goodness, he made a big, not Brown, one of the wide receivers that could easily come in and actually get an invite for training camp and making this football team based on what happens with injury. Because from what we gather from my Andy Lockhart, Noah Brown's injury, if it is similar, if it is to what happened last year, it could be something that not only is time consuming, that's going to take up a lot, but also something that could make you start wondering if this is the end of the road type of thing. Hopefully that's not the case for Noah Brown. Praying for that young man that he's going to be able to come out of this and fight through it, of course. But KJ Osborne is a guy that I would think his punt return could be slotted back there as well. We can't forget about the secondary unit. Like I wouldn't be crazy. I wouldn't be mad at the idea of Mikey Samerstill being one of the depth guys. This is a former wide receiver. You've seen what he does with the ball in his hands. You saw that in Michigan, being able to return a 90-yard touchdown through bodies. Like, I think Mikey Samerstill is somebody that has those kind of skill sets, has the history behind it to be able to help in that regard. If in case of emergency, you don't want Mikey putting himself in harm's way, of course. But we're just talking about in depth at punt returner. And I think that Mikey could easily fit inside that role. Now, our next question that was submitted in the Discord, not Discord, but this was sent on Twitter by my guy, Tony Franchise. He asks, not naming any team in the division who is a team in the NFL you just can't stand. For me, it's the Ravens, and it is only because I have some annoying coworkers or friends who are insufferable when it comes to that team. I mean, a good buddy of mine is a Ravens fan. He's not that bad. He makes jokes, like he'll rub it in a little bit. But TJ's one of those guys that you can't get mad at. Like TJ's just a lovable bear. I played against him at Poolsville. I won't say the Ravens. I don't think it's that. Over the course of this year, I'll say it's the Bears have really grown on me in a negative kind of way. Just because of how they responded to a lot of things leading up to the Bears and Washington game. I remember in the spaces with like Deuce and others, there were Bears fans in there saying that they had the best secondary in the league and that they were going to strap things up. They were going to be an issue. And of course they sort of were in a way. I guess they weren't expecting that their offense was going to be completely dog crap, and then the Hail Mary and followed that. I just thought it was poetic in what was said by Bears fans leading up to that week. They're like talking about how good the secondary was. And then literally your secondary is the one that wins us the game. Just very, very funny. Always find a good laugh in that. For me, I said the Bears. I know you can't go inside the division, but it's also Steelers. Like my boy Dan. I love my boy Dan. One of the greatest people I've ever met. I worked with him for a long time. Fantastic individual. He is not included in this. Neither is my stepfather-in-law, who I'm coaching with this season coming up from middle school. But the Steelers and the typical Steelers fan, I can't stand. Cannot stand them. Cannot stand them. And it's only because of one person, truly, because of Gavin Hall's boy. The dude just talks a lot. All right, and I don't like that sort of thing. You know what I mean? But what sucks is that a person like that would be a fan of the Steelers because that gives them the ability to talk crap continuously. Like there is never a time where they're down where you can really pile on them and say, look what's happening. Like, because the Steelers have always just done well. And like, as a Washington fan, you didn't have a leg to stand on because of it. Like, because of our history and what we've gone through, it was kind of like, yeah, whatever. You guys haven't won since 91, blah, blah, blah. Like, all right, whatever, dude. This is weird. This is a weird argument to be happening. So I'll say the Bears, the Steelers are another one. The Lions fans really made a mark on me in that playoff game. In which, coincidentally, Bears fans were telling Lions fans that they were cheering for them against us because of that Hail Mary game, which goes to show you, like, how insane they are. Because you have to imagine, it was one regular season game we won in a Hail Mary fashion, and it's specifically because of the quarterback position. That's where that hate that derives from, because they just cannot stand the fact to think that their quarterback is not as good as ours. And I understand it. We're in the same boat as y'all. We don't want to go back to not having a quarterback. We know what it's like. We wish that we could just go off into the sunset with a great young quarterback. But I'm sorry. It's not our fault that we won the game. But look, they were taking it out on us, saying that we're cheering for you Lions to beat them, which is a division rival. Like, imagine us losing to the Bears. and then tweeting or losing to the Bears. Bears make the playoffs, right? Let's say that's like us tweeting at Eagles fans saying, I'm rooting for you guys this weekend because you're going against the Bears and they beat us in the regular season. That's asinine. Nobody's going to say that. I'm not rooting for the Eagles no matter what. And it just goes to show you about Bears fans. It just goes to show you how low they are willing to go. And that's one, but that one guy from the Lions, Tony, that really irked me. Talk about we are 60 minutes away from hosting the NFC Championship game, and you think you're going to get in the way of that? It's hysterical. Like, yeah, actually, yeah, we are. We're going to kick your ass, too. We're going to pick you off. It's going to be fun for us. Yeah, you got a couple end arounds for a touchdown. You got some nice rips off, but at the end of the day, we won the war. You know, that sucks, man. You go home, sit back on the couch, enjoy it. Keep making those episodes, my man. You're doing a great job. But, so I'll say the Bears. Steelers is one I cannot stand the most. But overall, I typically just get along with people. I just like having fun. I guess that's the background in construction sites, just messing with everybody. But, of course, the division rivals take the cake, Tony. I mean, there's no doubt about that at all in my mind. It's what irks you the most. And it's definitely, the Eagles fans continuously uploading the 55-23 on everything. Yeah. Please do. Please continue to rub that in our face. That's fine. As Washington fans, you have to take the good with the bad. You can't just say what we did last season, talk crap to other fan bases and everything, and then look the other way when it came down to us getting our ass kicked. You got to acknowledge it. You got to look at it for what it is. Look at it in the mirror and say, okay, I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. And that's what you have to go in with the mindset thinking. Look, obviously you're not on the team. You're not out there doing it. I get it. My only point being is that's going to happen. They're going to rub it in your face, and that's what they do. But it is funny that they won the Super Bowl, and they continuously want to remind you that they beat you. And it's yeah, okay, cool. You won the Super Bowl. Imagine that's let's say you're going for a promotion at work, the promotion at work. You are looking to be the CEO. You're looking to be the big dog, the big D up top. That's what you're looking for. You're all working for it. You beat everybody out. You ended up winning that. Are you going to spend your time after that reminding all the people that you beat out for that you beat them out for it? Just think about it in that sort of way. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to enjoy the situation that you're in. Enjoy that time because it doesn't happen all the time. You don't always get that promotion. Right? So enjoy it. Enjoy this time. But instead, they got to remind you. They just got to remind you that 55-23. And yeah, it's gonna irk you. But look, man, just walk past it. Say, yeah, you're right, dude. I hope it happens again for you guys because you guys are running out of fuel. I can only imagine after next season what they're going to be saying then after we beat them. But, they come with excuses. They say everyone was injured in that first matchup, which there is a case for that. But at the end of the day, we won that game. We lost in the playoffs, which is fine. But that was miles ahead of where they are, right? So I know I went on a tangent. I'm just talking at this point. But I appreciate you for the question, Tony. Now, I have some questions. If you guys made it this far, you're a freaking champion. So I have some questions from you guys. Are you guys at all concerned with Terry's holdout? We've said in the Discord that they were thinking that it was going to happen on Monday or Tuesday. I personally did not put a label on it because I think it is going to happen at some point. I am not overly concerned, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Are you overly concerned? How concerned are you? Let's say 0 to 10. How concerned are you that Terry McLaurin is not signed yet? Also, the more sophisticated question I have for you guys, anybody that watches this, the defensive end roles. If you were going to predict what defensive ends are going to have which roles. For instance, the pass rush specialist, the run defensive kind of guy, which side they're going to be playing on. Do you think Deron Payne is going to be predominantly inside, outside? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And also, the other one is Brian Robinson's usage. How much do you think Brian Robinson is going to be used this season? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Sorry, I got to kill that sucker. I also got another one flying around here. Hold on. Where is he at? Right there. Yeah, you're gone. He gone. If I catch you flying, you dying. So I would love to hear what you guys think about Brian Robinson and how he is going to be used this season. Me personally, I have a lot of confidence in Brian. I know Dan Quinn said in his presser today that Brian looked great, looked healthy. Green to go, baby. Let's see what the young man can do. Because he's the typical kind of guy where you got to light a fire under him. And this fan base, I'm just telling you, how they've been talking is going to motivate somebody like Brian. Just knowing the personalities, right? Brian is that type of dude. He's that type of cat, and he's going to respond accordingly. And he's on a damn good offense to be able to do so. Secondly, the other question that I had for you guys. Oh, where is it? Oh, yeah, here we go. I want to hear your guys' responses in the comment section, or you can just reach out to me personally with the answers. I don't care. But the other question I have for you, does the departures and additions on offense force Cliff Kingsbury to, quote, change the offense? What I mean by that is, last season you had Diami Brown on the outside. Obviously, did not come into fruition until later on in the season in the playoffs. Thank goodness for him. God bless his heart. Go do well down in Jacksonville, my brother. He leaves. Jamison Crowder's not here, who was pivotal, who was important on third downs, extending the chains, helping in the red zone, especially in that Eagles win, right? With those departures and their skill sets, right, if you look at them, you add Jalen Lane and you add Deebo Samuel. You could say, without a doubt, Deebo Samuel is very different than Jamison Crowder. Now with Noah Brown out, possibly, we don't know, for the foreseeable future. Don't know how long that's going to be. Do you think that those additions and departures is going to force Cliff to have to change how the offense is constructed and works? Are we going to see different route concepts? Or is it going to be that kind of speed kills in terms of getting the ball out quick and then using the speed of Jaden in the ground game to kind of offset the passing? Would love to hear your thoughts on that. I think we have another question that was submitted on Instagram. This one by our guy James, I believe. I think my wife opened it. Hold on, let me see. Here we go. Here's another question from James. Last season, the Bears were 4-2 before they faced us. After the Hail Mary game, Chicago went 1-9. The consensus was that they became unraveled and morale hit rock bottom. When I was a youngster on a little league team, I experienced this. But these are professional athletes. I found it hard to swallow that one play could make the team fall apart. How much do you think Chicago's demise was due to that play? I don't think that play was the demise. Was the start of the demise, James. I understand what you're saying by that because it could hint at what Washington was kind of doing to them, right? But I kind of look at it in a different way where it was a lame duck coach, knew that going into the season, going with Caleb Williams, the youngster at quarterback. You fire Eberflus. I think that was just the beginning of the end. I don't think it was the catalyst for the reason why they ended up falling apart. But confidence can only get you so far. And I think that up until that game, confidence was still alive in Chicago, especially in that locker room. And after that game, things fell apart. Now, from Caleb Williams' standpoint, I would be willing to say that he possibly fell apart emotionally and mentally after that. Because I do think that he was very invested into winning that football game. I personally believe that on whatever platform, whatever account it was, that he was talking a lot and does not like Jaden Daniels because he viewed himself as the best quarterback in that class. Which, do your thing. Believe in that. But I do think that game messed with Caleb Williams in a massive way. He talked about crying on the way back from games after these losses. And I think it was Dove Kleinman or whatever was like, just shows how much he cares about winning for this city of Chicago. It's not about the city of Chicago. He's trying to win for himself. He's trying to prove that he's the number one quarterback. It has nothing to do with Chicago. He'd be crying after losses if he was in Cleveland. It's nothing about the city. But do think that Caleb is emotionally, I'm not going to say unstable, fragile, especially in that sort of way. And we've seen it before, but just saying that I think that that game really did tilt things for that young man. Because as the locker room and as the leader, right, you lose your head coach. Things are kind of spiraling as a team, right? You already knew it was lame duck. I'm not sure about killing them, but I'm sure they knew. But it's spiraling. You need that leadership to kind of right things, right? To be able to say, hey, everybody, calm down. Kind of like Bobby Wagner did after our 3-game skid. Bobby Wagner talked to the team, said, hey, everybody, chill out, calm down. This is what we got to do. It's not that crazy. We can fix everything from here on out. And they did. I think that that game kind of took away that from Caleb because I think that's it all kind of continues into each other. I think that that has a lot to do with it, that the leadership on that football team was not as strong as they would like it to be. And that's one of the reasons why Jaden Daniels coming to Washington was perfect because of his leadership style. That not having to be like you didn't in years past with Washington, with the Redskins, with Snyder here, with just all over just toxicity and craziness, that it almost fell on the players to be the leaders at all times. And losing Eberflus, it almost put that on Caleb Williams, like that he had to be that guy. And after that Washington game, I think that kind of put the chink in the armor, so to speak, because he didn't have a great game, but he was going to be happy that he won that game to be able to say he beat Jaden Daniels, because for some reason I think that he puts a lot of stock into the internet and to getting 1-ups. You know what I mean? So I think that's one thing, but I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that game that play that ruined it all. I just think that they were already going downhill. They were feeling good about themselves. Like I like to say about the Cowboys, is that they're in quicksand and they just don't know it yet. And I think that's what was going on with Chicago a little bit. But losing a game like that as a team is demoralizing. Like that flight back, seeing all the highlights, seeing because all their boys, all their friends, their wives, like they watch TV. They see it, like they know what happened. Like that is demoralizing because people are going to talk about it. You're going to see it online. You're going to see it everywhere. And that had to be something to mess with your psyche a little bit. And just the state of Chicago at that point, I think it just did not help with what was going on that football team. There was no leadership whatsoever. They just slowly started to crumble. And that play certainly is one that we're all going to remember. It's in the Hall of Fame. It was awesome. It was beautiful. I got yelled at that night, and I'm so grateful that I was yelled at that night because that was awesome. Now, the next question from James. I appreciate you, James. You're my hero, man. You came in the clutch for me this time. He said, I have been ignoring the plethora of articles on McLaurin and his frustration, as well as ignoring the articles on trade scenarios with half the other teams in the league. At what point do we start to get uneasy? I'm guessing just before training camp starts in late July or earlier, or now. To be perfectly honest with you, James, if this was last time that Terry didn't get a contract and he sat out, I was legitimately concerned. Like I was worried about losing Terry. And that is because Washington at that point didn't have a future. It just seemed very bleak. It didn't seem inspiring. There wasn't confidence being built, right? Because for somebody like Terry McLaurin coming from Ohio State, working his ass off to come to Washington, to get in the NFL, coming to Washington, working his butt off, continuing to produce quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, not getting the respect that he deserves, he comes up on a massive contract. You had to be concerned that there was a part of him that said, why am I wasting all my energy here? Why am I doing this for a franchise that's like a circus and I'm not winning? Like, I want my team to win. I don't want to continue coming in here trying to light a fire under my fellow teammates to try to win games, and inevitably We end up just collapsing every season because nothing is sustainable here. Whereas this time around, I'm not worried at all. Even if we get to training camp, I'm not worried at all. Even if it's in training camp, I'm not worried. Because I know there's a vested interest not only in Terry McLaurin's behalf, but the team's behalf. They saw what Terry did last season. They saw what he was doing in the locker room, the kind of leader that he is. You hear what they talk about. You hear what they say about him. For example, with Marshawn Lattimore when he didn't show up, what did Joe Witt say about him? Joe Witt said, having to happen, whatever. When he's here, he's here. We'll know how he looks when he gets here, right? That's not the case with Terry McLaurin. Dan Quinn said, I've been with him this offseason already. I know he's in great shape. He's still in touch with me right now. So that kind of framing of word usage just indicates and shows there's no reason to worry. The only reason that it's being pushed out as much as it is, somebody benefits from it. And that person being Terry McLaurin. But you also have to imagine Adam Peters knows his way around the NFL. He knows how these things work. He knows that the agent's going to push this out there, that Terry McLaurin is upset, doesn't want to be there. But guess what, man? Terry's been talking to Dan Quinn. It's all just a pony show. It's all just to generate clicks. And it's useful to somebody to be able to get those clicks. I saw Arizona Cardinals with those, like you were talking about, James, those hypothetical trade scenarios. The Patriots hypothetical trade scenarios. You see it all the time. And look, let them do their thing. I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried. I know it's going to get done. Terry wants to be here. He has a quarterback now. He had the best career year last season. After year of just being absolute dog crap every season, you get to the NFC Championship game with new ownership, new GM, new head coach, new quarterback, and a new Terry. I'm not worried. There's a very much an interest on both sides wanting to come together and get this done. So regardless of when it happens, I know it's going to happen. I'm waiting. I want it to happen right now. I would love to be able to stop talking about this. But it's something to talk about rather than the damn spear in the photo shoot for Jaden Daniels. I can't tell you why, man. Like last week I talked about how to Felix, I say to him, it's so great to show our organization where we stand because we'd be arguing about the stupidest stuff right now in years past, like the name change, stadium, all this. Like we're not doing that right now. And of course, that photo shoot comes out, and here we all are arguing about the damn spear, about the old name coming back. And it's like, guys, have we not learned? Have we not learned anything? We're supposed to be happy right now. We're supposed to be enjoying life. Right now, I'm in Cabo. I'm sitting in the blue see-through. I'm not sure if it's see-through water. See-through water. I'm sitting in. I got my drink with umbrella in my hand. Most likely, it's just water with coconut in it. And I'm just sitting with my beautiful wife, just floating, just looking at the water, enjoying myself. That's where we are as a franchise right now, man. We got a quarterback. We got some sustainable winning. We got a damn good GM that hits on draft picks, and we saw that last season with Mikey Sammerstill and Jaden Daniels. Just speaks to where we are. And so look, man, let's all just be happy, dude. So James, I appreciate your questions. I would say that I know that everyone's already starting to freak out a little bit. There's no reason for it, man. Me personally, there's a vested interest on both sides. This is just my kind of thought process in saying, I know he doesn't want to leave. Yeah, he wants more money, but at this point, like if you really talk to Terry McLaurin, like if you were friends with him and you got to sit down with him at his house and you guys are playing video games, I don't know, you're playing Grand Theft Auto, I don't know, Mortal Kombat, I don't know what's cool these days. But if you're just sitting there playing video games and you say to him like, man, would you really leave Washington over money? I guarantee you he would say no. I guarantee you. Not at this point. Like imagine you going through that as a professional. Like having such a crappy environment, and then all of a sudden you're starting to build something legit, and you produce more than you ever have. The excitement is there. It has really revived you as a football player, as a leader, as a vocalist to say, this is what I am, this is what I'm capable of, and then saying, yeah, but I want more money, so I'm going to go some. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, James. What makes sense to me is they're just hashing out the details. Don't know what those details are. Absolutely no idea. But I would imagine it's just hashing out the details. And also giving Terry a little bit of a break. He showed up at times in the offseason showing what kind of leader that he is. Let him do his thing. I don't know what the holdup is. I'm not sure if this is his agent telling him to hold out, whatever. I don't know. I don't really care because all I know is that Terry McLaurin's going to be here. It's now or then. Don't know when, but I'm happy that he's here. That's why his jersey's up. That's why I love that young man. You'll never hear me say bad about that guy. I love Terry McLaurin to death. And I've never met him, never talked to him, but love that guy. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this episode. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm sorry for it kind of being dragged out. I said it was going to be short, but it wasn't. So I appreciate you for hearing me just ramble and ramble and ramble. You guys deserve a cookie, a beer, a shot, something, glass of whiskey, I don't know, something. Just enjoy yourself. You definitely deserve it because if you sat through this, you're amazing. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on Sunday, hopefully with a reoccurring guest that we haven't had for some time. Very excited to be able to get my man back on here, and we'll announce that on Sunday when the episode is released. All right, everybody. Thank you to James. Thank you to Tony Franchise. Thank you to Deluxe. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you again on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of camp on all the updates that has to come out. Hopefully Ben Sinnott continues to be a standout for Coach Quinn. I know it's one player that he talked about. Also brought up Percy Butler and Jordan McGee. And so those are some names you love to hear, my friends. We'll see you guys again on Sunday. Have a great, safe week. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.